Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial of cash forecast solution designed by Setu Consulting Services Private Limited. Well, here in this tutorial you will get to know how to create cash forecast category, cash forecast type, and why you should create cash forecast category, cash forecast type before calculating cash forecast. So I am on dashboard of Odoo and switching to cash forecast solution. Well, this is the dashboard of cash forecast solution. Various analyses and comparative data that can help you to analyze the expenses, that is cash expenditure, all type of cash income in your business is explained in next tutorial. Here in this tutorial, let us see that how you can create cash forecast categories and cash forecast type, and why you should create cash forecast category and cash forecast type. Well, this solution says that you are forecasting the expenses and income in your business. So before creating cash forecast category, cash forecast type, and then calculating cash forecast, you should first create fiscal period. So for that, at present, let me show you how to create fiscal year and define fiscal period. For that, switch to this fiscal year functionality in this configuration menu. So you can see over here that fiscal period for the year 2022 and 2023 is already created. If you could see, then fiscal period for every month starting from 1st of April 2022 to 31st of March 2023 is already created. Let me show you how you can create new fiscal year and define fiscal period as per your choice. So for that, switching to fiscal year again and click on this create button. Let me name this fiscal year as 2023-24. The code is 23-24. The start date should be from 1st of April 2023 to 31st of March 2024 and save it. So when I click on this create monthly period, the fiscal period between this start date and end date for every month will be created. So I'm creating fiscal period for this fiscal year, that is 2023-2024. So this is how you can create fiscal year and then define fiscal period. So next, let me show you how you can create cash forecast categories and why you should define categories, and after that create cash forecast type that belongs to either of the category that is already created. So now I am switching to cash forecast categories functionality in this cash forecast menu. Here appears the graph of all the cash forecast categories that is already created. Well, let me take example of this, that is cash forecast categories with name income. So this says that there are two types, that is all type of receivable, that is cash forecast of all receivable, and income from plumbing sets. See, for any business there can be multiple number of incomes and multiple type of expenses. So you can create category of your choice and then multiple type that belongs to these categories. For example, there can be multiple expenses in your business because of all type of payable, income duty tax, and loan payment. Now if you want to separate it and calculate cash forecast for all this type, that is loan payment, import duty tax, and payable expenses separately, so you can create separately this cash forecast type and link those cash forecast type with this category, that is expenses. So let me show you that how you can create cash forecast categories. For that, here let me take an example of office expenses that are done at every month. So for that, click on this create button. So I will name this category as office expenses. See, these expenses from my business, they reflect that all type of cash out that is done throughout the month. While I'll calculate cash forecast, I want to know that what type of expenses are there and what is the total amount that is spent because of the office maintenance. So I have named it as office expenses, and in group, whether it is cash in my business, cash out in my business, or this account should be, or this account, sorry, this category defines that it is the opening forecast at the beginning of month, the closing forecast at the end of month, or the net forecasting. Here, this example that I have taken, that is office expense, defines that it is cash out from my business. So in group, I am selecting cash out. If this option, that is group for opening balance is enabled, then when cash forecast will be calculated, after that those amount will be considered during the opening balances at the beginning of every month. So let me disable this option at present, because I don't want to consider this during the opening balances at the beginning of every month. So I am disabling this option and save it. Switching to cash forecast categories again. So you can see now that cash forecast categories with name office expenses is created. Now I want to calculate expenses in my office because of two types, that is the computer maintenance cost and stationery expenses. So I will create cash forecast type with name computer expenses and stationery expenses, and I will link those cash forecast type with this category, that is office expenses. So next, let me show you how you can create cash forecast type. For that, switching to this cash forecast type functionality in this cash forecast menu. So here appears the graph of all the cash forecast type that are already created. When the value of this cash forecast type that is calculated, cash forecast is calculated, that appears here. At present, let me show you how you can create cash forecast type and link this cash forecast type with the cash forecast categories that is already created. Switching to cash forecast type again. To create new cash forecast type, click on this create button. So let me name this cash forecast type as cost because of computer maintenance. Then I need to select, if you can see over here, I need to select category. So I want to link this cash forecast type with category, that is office expenses. So you can see that in group, by default the cash out that was selected while creating this office expense category will appear here. Now there are two methods to calculate cash forecast. One is manual and one is auto calculation mode. If this option, that is auto calculate, is disabled, then you can calculate cash forecast manually based on the fixed values that you enter. Say for example, you are expecting that cost because of computer maintenance should be 5,000 every month. So you will disable this option, that is auto calculate, and you will enter 5,000 over here in fixed value. Now cash forecast for this type, that is cost because of computer maintenance, can be calculated for the months that are entered here in this cash forecast configurations. At present, let me enable this option, that is auto calculate. So if you can see over here that when I enable this auto calculate option, at that time this option, that is auto calculation formula, is enabled. So I need to select that when auto calculation is enabled, then forecast should be calculated based on which formula, based on which entries. So next, let me show you that what are the various methods or formulas through which you can calculate cash forecast when this auto calculate option is enabled. So if here I have selected this option, that is past accounting entries, then all past accounting entries from the accounts that I select over here in this accounts tab will be considered, and forecast will be calculated for the period that I have configured here in this cash forecast configurations. So let me first select the account over here in this account tab. I have already created account for this computer expense with name computer cost. So let me search that account over here. So you can see that I have already created account with other computer cost. So I will select that account. Now see, if this option, that is past accounting entries, is selected over here, then all past accounting entries of this account will be considered. If this option, that is past period forecasting entries, is selected over here, then whatever the values of the forecast that I had calculated for the previous months, that will be considered, and forecast will be calculated for upcoming month. If this pending payable and receivable option is selected, then all type of pending payable or receivable of this account will be considered and forecast will be calculated. Then if I am selecting this option that is based on dependent forecast, then you can see that dependent forecast type tab is enabled here. I need to select the cash forecast type that is already created, and this says that cash forecast of this type, that is cost because of computer maintenance, is dependent on the cash forecast type entries that I select here. So at present, as an example, let me select this option that is past accounting entries. Then you can see that calculation pattern is enabled. So this here appears two options, that is average value of last X days. If this option is selected, then the number of days that I enter here, say for example 180, then what will happen? For example, here in forecast start period I have selected September month of 2022, and this recurring forecast option is enabled. Then this says that cash forecast of this type will be calculated after every month that I select here in this forecast execution duration. Say for example, here I am selecting 2, and in forecast end period I have selected 12th of 2023. So this says that between this period, that is September month of 2022 to December month of the year 2023, forecast of this type will be calculated after every 2 months, and past accounting entries of the account that I have selected will be considered, and average value of last 180 days will be considered. If I have selected this option, that is same period of previous year, then say for example cash forecast of September month of the year 2022 is calculated, at that time the forecast entries or past accounting entries from this account will be considered of September month of the year 2021. If this option, that is past period forecasting entries, is considered, then the forecast value of September month and 2021 will be considered. I have selected this option, that is past accounting entries. So all the accounting entries of this account will be considered. Now when forecast will be calculated for the 11th month of the year 2022, at that time all past accounting entries of this account will be considered of 11th month of the year 2021, as I have selected same period previous year option here in this calculation pattern. So as an example, let me over here select 1 month, that is forecast execution duration should be of every month between this period, that is September month of 2022 and December month of 2023. So I am saving it. So I have created cash forecast type with name cost because of computer maintenance. Let me create another type also that should also belong to this office expenses category. Then auto calculate option I am enabling. Again past accounting entries I am considering, and it should be for same period of previous year. The forecast start period is September month of the year 2022. Recurring forecast is on, and here again let me select December month of the year 2023. In the accounts, say for example, because of all type of stationery expenses, in accounts I have created account with name stationery expenses. That stationery expense number is 750500. Okay, so let me select this account with name stationery. I'm selecting this, and the name of this cash forecast type should be stationery expenses in my office. Let me save it. Switching to cash forecast type. So you can see now that two cash forecast type that I presently created with name cost because of computer maintenance and stationery expenses appears here. If I switch to when I'll calculate cash forecast of this two type, and as this two type belongs to category with name office expenses, so those data will appear here. If I switch to cash forecast category, then it will appear here in this office expenses. Well, how to calculate cash forecast is explained in next tutorial. This was about creating cash forecast type manually. Well, you can create cash forecast type directly from chart of accounts itself. So for that, next let me show you that how you can create cash forecast type directly from accounting module of odoo. So switching to accounting module of odoo, and then switching to chart of accounts in this configuration menu. Here appears the list of all the accounts that are created in my business. Let me select over here account with number 400 and 101. So you can see that this account is with name income from plumbing cells. So this says that this is the account type with income, that means all type of income in my business. So when I want to create cash forecast type for this income from plumbing cells, I just need to click over here in this cash forecast tag and let me name it as plumbing income. That means plumbing cells income, and I need to save it. So if cash forecast tag with name plumbing cells income is not created, then this will ask that do I want to create cash forecast tag with plumbing cells income. So I can create it, and let me select this, let me save it, and if I select it and then switch to action and then create cash forecast type, so you can see that cash forecast type with income from plumbing cells is created. Let me switch to chart of accounts again, and let me select another account with number 500 and 101. So you can see that all type of expenses are defined in this account, that is cost because of plumbing cells, and the type of this account over here is expenses. So if I am not giving any name over here, that in cash forecast tab column, and I am just selecting this, and then from action I am creating cash forecast type. Then cash forecast type with the chart of accounts name will be created by default. Switching to cash forecast solution and then to cash forecast type. So now you can see that plumbing cells income, this was the name that I had given. So cash forecast type with that name plumbing cells income is created directly from charts of accounts. And cost of plumbing cells, you can see that account, that cost of plumbing cells is also linked with this cash forecast type over here in this accounts tab, and the name also remains same, as I had not created any cash forecast tags while creating cash forecast type with this name cost of plumbing cells directly from charts of accounts. So this account name by default will appear here as cash forecast type. But if I switch to this plumbing cells income, then while creating this cash forecast type of plumbing cells income through this account, as I had created cash forecast tag with this name, that is plumbing cells income, so cash forecast type with that name will be created. Now I just need to switch to this cash forecast type and then link this cash forecast type with either of these cash forecast categories that is already created. So I can switch directly to cash forecast solution, then select the cash forecast type, and then let me link this cash forecast type with, say this is because of cost of plumbing cells, so I will link this with expenses, and in calculation formula let me select past accounting entries. It should be for same period of previous year. The fiscal period I can select, and in recurring forecast after every 2 months for example. Then when I'll calculate cash forecast for this type of, that is with name cost of plumbing cells, then all past accounting entries will be considered from this account, that is cost of plumbing cells. Cash forecast can be calculated after every 2 months from the start period, that is September month of the year 2022. And while calculating cash forecast of upcoming months, the previous year's same month entries will be considered. If I am not entering any forecast time period over here, then up to the time I stop this forecast calculation, the calculation from start period after every 2 months can be continued till the user's choice. So let me save it, switching to cash forecast type. Then in plumbing cells income also I need to link it with category, as this defines the income because of plumbing cells. So here in cash forecast category name I am selecting income as category name. Then past accounting entries, same period. Recurring forecast is enabled after every 1 month, and again September month of 2022. So all accounting entries of this account, that is income from plumbing cells account, will be considered while calculating cash forecast of this type, that is plumbing cells income. Let me save it, switching to cash forecast type again. So this is how you can create cash forecast categories and then cash forecast type. Link this cash forecast type to these categories. Well, calculation of cash forecast and how you can calculate cash forecast for multiple type and multiple months simultaneously, and what type of various analysis you can do from dashboard and from the reports is explained in next tutorial. So for that, switch to next tutorial. So thank you for listening till now, and for any queries you can contact us through details mentioned in the description below.